Your team is falling apart, Bennett.
Well, we saw this coming. DeAndre Hopkins is on the move, and he is. If you could pick one destination to go to, I think.
If you're a receiver, yeah.
If you're a receiver, I think playing with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs is pretty high up there. So he's headed to Kansas City. I believe the Titans are getting a 5th-round pick that could turn into a 4th-round pick. And they're in fire sale mode. I mean, Titans are terrible. The quarterback situation's a disaster. It was the last year of Hopkins' deal.
Is it as funny for you? I mean, it's probably not funny at all for you. But for me, when I'm watching something and all of a sudden that Will Levis mayonnaise commercial comes on, do you just get furious?
I mean, I can't fault the guy for making his money. It'll be
the mayonnaise company.
It'll be the last endorsement he ever gets. Like, this team has traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles, Derrick Henry to the Ravens, DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs. Like, we're literally a farm system for Super Bowl contenders. The Titans are. It's embarrassing at this point. And I understand why they had to do this. It just sucks. He's one of my favorite players in the league. I was so stoked when they went out and got him. Last year was clearly a disaster. And you know, they weren't going to win anything with him there, so it makes sense for them. But it just sucks. Like it happened with Randy Moss once upon a time. Like, he was a Titan for a split second, and then everything was disastrous. He goes, they have to move on from it. The situation is
4th round pick.
Yeah, Amy Adams, the owner, said that they're still sticking by Will Levis. I know you have to say that, but I'm like, that's. Just stop. You don't want to say that out loud to your fan base right now, because that's who everyone's pointing to as why the season's going the way it is. I think there's a lot of circumstances. I think Rand Carthen has not been as good as advertised. Some of these draft picks just are not panning out. I know that he's early in his tenure. The free agency moves aren't really panning out either. So, this whole organization has a lot of pressure on it right now. They've got a new stadium on the way.
Right now, they'd have the 4th pick in the draft next season.
Got a new stadium on the way, and I think 27. I think that's when it's scheduled to open. And the franchise is one of the worst in the league. I think I probably would put Carolina at the very top.
Yeah.
Titans are right there. I mean, I would jumble them in with like the Browns and
just like in terms
Jaguars.
of the general mismanagement.
Yeah, I just I think when they moved on from Mike Vrabel, I was mad about it. I think that looks right now. Mike Vrabel would not be 1-5. He would not with this roster. He would not be 1-5. Brian Callahan, we'll see. I haven't seen anything to suggest that he's a good NFL coach. Now, again, his quarterback situation is disastrous, but
I'm sorry to laugh at your misfortune. It is funny that to see you just going in on your team.
Well, dude, they brought him in because he's supposed to be one of the great young offensive minds in the league. Their offense is dead last in the league, and the only reason that they're even competitive is the defense is great. But that ain't him. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he's brought in to be the offensive genius.
But also, like, all right, so you bring in an offensive genius and you give him Will Levis. Like, what's he supposed to do with that?
No, that's true. That's very
trade
fair.
away Derrick Henry.
But then your backup quarterback, you went and got Mason Rudolph in free agency. He was terrible this weekend. Like, it's just they've made horrible decisions and horrible moves. They're just a freaking disaster right now. And I'm rooting for DeAndre Hopkins. Going back to his situation and that move, it's obviously massive for the Chiefs, who lost Rashee Rice. Like, they went out and got a guy who I think can still be a number 1 guy. He's a clear red zone threat. And when you look at his career, dude, he's played with bad quarterbacks his whole career. Like, literally, I think the best quarterback he ever played with was a young Deshaun Watson in Houston. So he's been good his whole career and has played with pretty much nothing but mediocre to bad quarterbacks. Now he's about to play with a surefire Hall of Famer. And so I think he's going to be awesome there. I think that's a massive move for the Chiefs.
Who do you want to get in the draft? Do you want to get a quarterback?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is,
Shedeur Sanders.
Here's the problem is, like, this quarterback class is there's a lot of uncertainty right now as far as
Cam Ward,
who's the guy, right? Like, who
just signed with Adidas today, by the way.
Yeah, like who's going to be that top guy? I like both of those guys. I don't know if either of them is like a franchise-changing NFL quarterback.
Jalen Milroe?
No.
Carson Beck?
Pass.
Okay.
I think I'll pass.
Quinn Ewers?
I've watched this team I've watched this team put out so many just mediocre quarterbacks over the years, mediocre to bad. I want like the dynamic guy. I want like the guy
Michael Vick
that's
type.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yes, I want
Lamar
the exciting
Jackson,
quarterback. Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson. I know Patrick Mahomes, like that he's one of one, but like, yeah.
I mean, look, I'm a Falcons fan. I still remember when we traded up the day before the draft to get the number 1 pick to take Michael Vick.
Yeah.
It was transformative. It totally changed everything, and it was awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, we have the guy.
Yeah.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.